Hi everyone. A couple of days ago, somebody asked me in an online group about whether or not I correct my students and how much correction I do. So I thought this is a good topic and it might be of interest to many teachers. I prepared a very quick presentation, so let's go through what we have to do in regards with correcting errors. I think one of the issues when you talk about correcting errors is the perception that the teacher has and the perceptions of the students. And sometimes this can be very, very different. The perceptions, they could be very different and they could be actually misleading and they can cause problems. I wanted to look at this through an experiment that came from classroom observation. But before we jump into that, let's ask some questions. Should we correct the errors that our learners make? What might happen if we do? And what might happen if we don't? Well, obviously, if we do too much correction, that will inhibit them. They will be afraid. They might think, I only said 10 words and this guy corrected 7 of them, so next time I'm not going to say anything. It makes me look stupid in class. What happens if we don't correct them? Sometimes when we don't correct an error, then the student might think what they said was correct. So they might continue doing the same error again and again, and then it gets fossilized. So, what should we do? Let's look at this conversation, which was recorded by somebody called James Oladejo way back in 1975. When he observed a class, he transcribed the conversation that took place in that class, and it's really nice because it gives a lot of perspective. So here you have a teacher and 2 students. So teacher, Alvaro, and Santos. The teacher asks, "When's your birthday, Alvaro?" And Alvaro answers, 12th November. The teacher says, "Okay." It means the teacher approves it. It says, "Now Santos, when's your birthday?" Santos says, 14th of September. But the teacher says, "No, listen, the 14th." And then the conversation continues. What's interesting here is that there are mistakes here, obviously. The 12th of November. So there are 2 missing things here. But the teacher approves it and says, "Okay." Whereas for Santos, he had one mistake. He missed the definite article here. And he should have said the 14th of September. He said 14th of September. Yet, the teacher disapproves it and says, "No, listen, the 14th. Now, it's fun to see what the teacher thought about all of this and what the students thought. So, let's look at the teacher perceptions. The researcher asked the teacher after the fact, why did the teacher do this? The teacher thought Alvaro was careless about getting his grammar right. He didn't care. He just wanted the message to go across. The teacher also thought that Alvaro, which is the first student, cared about conveying his message. He wanted to get his message across. He didn't care about accuracy. No problem. However, for Santos, the teacher thought the opposite. The teacher thought that Santos cared about these things. I'm recording a video. However, for Santos, the teacher thought differently. The teacher thought that Santos was different and opposite to Alvaro. Also, he thought that Santos liked to be correct all the time, and he wanted the teacher to correct his mistakes. And that's why the teacher corrected his mistakes. Now, what do you think was going on in Alvaro's mind? Obviously, Alvaro thought what he said was correct. Why else would the teacher say okay if it's not correct? And probably other thoughts, that maybe the teacher didn't care about him. If he made a mistake, the teacher just said okay and move on. What about the other student, Santos? What did he think about all of this? Probably Santos thought that the teacher was picky. The teacher didn't care about other students and he only picked on him. So, what do we learn from this? And what should we do? One thing that we should do is we need to strike a balance between being accurate and being fluent. Also, we need to be consistent among all the students. So if I have 10 or 20 or 30 students and I only correct one or two, and I don't care about the others because I think the others don't want to be correct, that's a mistake because that's what I think. It may or may not be true. Also, there are too many errors in any class, and we can't possibly correct everything. So we have to be selective. You have to pick and choose. We can't correct everything. How can we pick and choose? Sometimes you pick and choose what's relevant. So let's say today our lesson is about the simple past. If somebody makes a mistake in the simple past tense, for example, if they say, I speaked French to him, then we fix that because that's relevant to what we're teaching today. We also look at error density, or the severity, or how serious the error is. If it's an intermediate class and somebody still doesn't know the plural form of child, which is children, and they say childs, my friend has 5 childs, then that's a severe error. It shouldn't happen at that level. So maybe you want to stop there and fix that error. The other thing that comes to mind is the frequency of the error. So how often does this error happen, especially with a certain individual? I remember I had a student who kept saying, I know have a book, I know have this exercise, I know have this page. And so that was very frequent with this particular student. So in a case like that, you might just stop, give it some time, and explain in detail why this is a problem, so that it doesn't happen so often. That's all I have for today. I appreciate any comments that you might have. I'm sure there's a lot of things to add to this. It's a very large topic. So please comment, and thank you for watching.